Hello, besties, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Bon Voyage Besties with your host, Rosa, and my wonderful co host, Rachel. And today's episode, it's all about travel FOMO. So, as you know, Rachel and I, we travel frequently, but that doesn't mean that we don't get hit with some travel FOMO ourselves. I know I certainly do. I just came back from a wonderful trip to Italy. Rachel and I had a great time in New York this past weekend at BookCon. But yet, seeing my friends on that Virgin Voyages cruise, I'm getting some major FOMO, guys. So, today's episode, we're going to chat all about that. So, we're going to get real. Is it really just the fear of missing a trip? Or is it the fear of missing a better version of life? Have you ever opened your social media for just a minute and suddenly it feels like everyone is traveling except for you? Like 1 second you're on the couch and the next you're mentally in Iceland, Bali, Paris, and you're wondering, what are you doing wrong? And are you actually comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel? So when you see those picture perfect trips, do you feel inspired or do you feel kind of pressure? And the biggest question we're diving into today, do you actually want to travel or do you just feel like you should? So Rachel, are you ready for today's episode?
I am all too ready because this is a topic that I have a lot of experience with. Like, it looks as if I travel all the time, but I really don't. And believe me, I get major FOMO and major jealousy. And I'll be super honest about it because I think that feeling's more common than we may suspect.
I totally agree. So what exactly is travel FOMO and why do you think it hits so hard?
Well, I think for me, being in the travel content creation space, it's just like you said, opening up Instagram and seeing everyone on these amazing trips. Now, I will say, I know that travel FOMO can look differently for different people. Personally, for me, if it's somebody who's planned their own like trip on their own, they're funding it themselves, they took the time off themselves, that I don't feel FOMO as much. I feel like it's a well-deserved vacation. And I always say, like with my friends and family, if they're planning a trip, I live vicariously through them and I mean it. Like, I want to hear all about it. For example, if my brother were to take off and travel, or if my friend saved up all this money and was traveling, I would really be like looking forward to it and be really, really excited when I hear about it. I get bad travel FOMO when it's other content creators because I get major imposter syndrome. And sometimes in your travel content creation space, you work really hard and you don't always like, I don't want to say get the things you want because it's not about that, but it doesn't always deliver the way you expect it to. And then to see other people seeming to get things like at the drop of a hat, it can piss me off. Like, I'll be perfectly honest. I'll be perfectly honest about it. It like really can grind my gears sometimes. So I do think it looks differently for other people. Again, for me, FOMO, if it's friends and family, I am genuinely happy for them. Travel content creator space, I get super competitive and envious, and that's something that I need to work on. But how about you, Rosa? What does travel FOMO look like for you?
I mean, I feel like you totally nailed it. Again, I am the biggest cheerleader when my friends are telling me that they're going to travel somewhere. I'm super excited and I want to like stalk their pages because I want to see what they're doing, having so much fun. So I love that for them. But I agree. I feel like as a content creator, sometimes it can be a little bit competitive and it's hard not to compare yourself to other creators. And then you're wondering, like, how did this person get invited on this amazing press trip? And maybe I was overlooked. So it's really hard not to have FOMO. But I feel like for me, for the most part, my FOMO, it's a little bit more on like, man, I wish I was there. Like I said, I've seen a couple of my friends are on this amazing, fun cruise trip right now. And logistically, there was no way I would have made it anyways, even if I was invited to have gone on this trip, just because I just came back from a pretty long vacation. So logistically, it wouldn't have made sense for me anyways. But it's still hard not to just be like, man, I wish I was there having fun, capturing all these amazing content with my friends. So it still appears, even though I've been very fortunate to land other press ship and I have had other opportunities come my way. It's hard not to get a little jealous.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's also that feeling, like you said, about wishing you were there, even if like the trip wouldn't necessarily work. I think something else that gives me major FOMO is in the travel space. If you're a content creator, you know this. These press trips are usually hosted during low season. So if you're in education and want to be a content creator, those two paths really don't always align because the times you can travel, it's during high season. So I feel like my blood boiling, but then I think I wouldn't be able to go on this trip anyway. So it's kind of like a mixture of things going on. I don't know. Maybe a therapist needs to unravel that knot, not a podcast.
I think we need another shopping trip, some retail therapy. Like, we didn't spend enough money on books this past weekend.
Oh my God, guys, I saw the reel and it was really funny. And it was basically like the bank shouldn't be angry if I don't pay them back. When they offered me this loan, they knew I had no money anyway. And that's how I feel about BookCon. So, you know what? Sorry, Chase Bank. You should have expected this.
We had an amazing time, even though our pockets are like, okay, girl, you could have taken a little bit easier on me.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's so true. Like, I really do feel excited for my friends and family. But it does, if you're having like a difficult time, like at home, maybe like work's being really stressful, or we live in New Jersey, like the weather has been so crazy up and down. It's gone from like summer weather to winter weather in the matter of like days. So when you see someone on this perfect vacation, the weather looks perfect, it can be hard. Like sometimes it's not even like anger or anything. It's more just like, man, I wish I was somewhere else. Like my mental health could really use a change of scenery aside from seeing like the New Jersey highways crowded with traffic.
And I think you also brought up a good point as far as sometimes we see things on social media, and again, it's just like a highlight. So, like, obviously, when I post content on my socials, it's typically positive, like, I went here, I did this, but a lot goes on behind the scenes. And travel, we've had many episodes where we talk about travel fails, how to handle that. So, I feel like sometimes too, the FOMO can manifest itself, but we're not seeing like the downside of the trip, or even if it is a press trip, it's still work. So, like, early mornings, late nights, being on the go. So, all of the logistics behind the scenes that we normally don't see, we're only seeing like a little highlight of that person's vacation. So, again, I feel like sometimes the FOMO kind of manifests in our head, and we're just kind of building up this trip that necessarily might not have been exactly what we thought it would be.
Yeah, especially for something like a content creator trip or a press trip, like it's really important to the brand posting like all the positivity. So you're with that, you're definitely not going to see the downsides. But it's really true. Like I know for me, for example, I did years ago, it was three back-to-back press trips out in California. I owed a lot of writing on my blog. So as soon as I got back, instead of like going to the beach with my family, I was inside my bedroom writing these long articles and they were over 1,000 words each. And, it took hours. I had to then edit the pictures, post the content, hope that the content performed well. And like so much of that is also out of your control because of Google algorithms and things. So people, they saw me having a great time in Berkeley or eating delicious food in Tri Valley, but they definitely did not see all of the stress of writing that content afterwards. And then when it comes with like personal trips, because not everyone's a content creator on here, it's true, you don't see the downsides. I mean, maybe there were fights on the trip. Sometimes trips can be very stressful, like that never makes it to social media. Or maybe somebody spent too much money, like I did at BookCon this weekend, and you're not seeing them actually stressing out, like, oh crap, am I going to be able to pay off this credit card without interest? So you don't see everything. Like, really, social media, it's all of the highlights. And it's something that I say all the time to my students because I know they like to be on these different social media channels. Don't necessarily think that the people you follow, that that's their real life, even if they're doing something amazing. Like there's stress all the time in social media. It's very rose colored glasses.
I totally agree with that. So, why would you say that seeing someone else's vacation sometimes make you feel like your everyday life is just a little bit smaller?
Well, I will say, I think part of it has to do with the current like situation everyone's kind of in right now. Like everything's a lot more expensive. Groceries are more expensive. Rent is more expensive. Gas is more expensive. We're being hit from like all angles. And then opening up social media and seeing people on these luxury vacations. And it's all like, oh, beautiful and five-star hotels and like nice restaurants and tours and sometimes business class tickets. It really makes me feel like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not measuring up? So I do think that's a really common feeling, especially now with so much going on with people's like everyday budgets. I know that's been a big thing for me recently. How about you, Rosa?
I mean, I definitely agree with that. I mean, I feel like sometimes, especially with social media, it definitely creates a contrast, right? So you could be sitting here at home, at work, running errands, and then like your friend is at the beach somewhere and they're posting like these beautiful, beaches and like sunsets. Meanwhile, you're stuck in your like routine. You kind of feel like, what, like you said, like, what am I doing wrong, right? Why am I not at this beach? Why am I not taking more vacations? And everyone's situation is a little bit different. Everyone's priority is a little bit different. I know for me, travel is something I definitely enjoy doing. I make sure that I budget for it, that I allocate my PTOs accordingly, because travel for me is part of my lifestyle, right? But for some people, they don't care. they don't want to travel. They're happy just taking some time off, like sitting on the couch, reading a book, and that's totally fine. But I feel for people that they do want to get out there, explore the world, and maybe they don't have the funds to be able to do it, or maybe the time or the flexibility. Maybe they have a young kid at home and maybe they don't have childcare, whatever other logistics are behind it. So I feel like for those type of people, it feels a little bit kind of out of reach. So when they do get to see people, maybe their peers on these amazing vacations, they kind of hit that FOMO a little bit more hard.
Yeah, and this is going to sound maybe a little melodramatic, but I've actually told like friends of mine if my content ever gets under their skin that it's perfectly fine to mute me for 30 days because sometimes you just like need a break from it if you're going through some stuff and feel like it's impossible to travel at that moment. Speaking of travel, time to check in.
It wouldn't be a travel podcast without some travel content behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'm checking in for my flight to Puerto Rico as I'm like
Womp
moping. As I'm
womp.
moping on this show, you guys. I'm such a hypocrite. I'm so sorry. Believe it's not for that long of a time. I wish it was for longer.
And
Puerto Rico's
again,
beautiful.
I'm going to be having some major FOMO.
I wish you were coming with me.
I know. Rachel's going to be in Puerto Rico. She's going to be attending a really fun event. So you're going to have to check her socials and find out what she's going to be doing. But I'm so jealous because like the weather in Jersey, like Rachel said before, has been so freaking flip-flop. Like it was in the 80s, now it's in the 50s. It's like, get it together, Jersey.
It's
like,
insane.
Please give me some
It's
warmth and
insane.
consistency, please.
And I wish you were going with me too. You were such an awesome travel buddy. Like, believe me.
Thank you.
And I was saying the same thing to my mom because the event, it has to do with food. And there's a lot of people who are going to be there that are on the Food Network. And my parents love the Food Network.
And I would have like major FOMO.
I absolutely would. But yeah, like my mom was like, oh, I wish I could go with you. And I'm like, I wish you could go with me too. So it is funny. So on another side of travel FOMO, when it comes to press trips and things like this, because this is kind of a mini press trip, I will say there are times where I do miss my family and friends. Like I think back to that press trip in California and it was like this beautiful dinner at this Italian restaurant outside, but I was sitting all by myself with my glass of wine and my meal and it was delicious and it was all comped. But the whole time I just really missed my family and wanted to be home. So that's the content. Again, that does not like make the cut.
It doesn't make the cut.
It doesn't make the cut and it exists. Like, again, I'm super excited for this trip, but like if Rosa were with me, if my mom were with me, if like more friends were with me, like I'm seeing another amazing content creator, but I miss my friends too when I travel. Like it goes like both ways. Like I know like Rosa would have such a good time. I wish I could like put a mannequin of you like at work.
Just carry like my face like flat Stanley. Just carry a flat Rosa everywhere.
Yeah, definitely. Okay,
or bring me back some snacks. So
I will.
I
will. If you want some, hey, I don't know if they're giving any food away, but if they have snacks, I'll bring them back. I already promised to bring back things. So I'm all checked in and ready to go.
United hooked my girl up with the upgrade. Although this episode will air way past it.
Yeah, it'll be way past. You guys will see the content. So yeah, it is true. Like when we compare ourselves to someone else's highlight reel, it can be really hard. And I feel like this also like goes beyond like FOMO of travel, because FOMO with travel, it's a very common feeling. But I do feel like social media, it has made us like compare ourselves a lot to other people in general. I know with Reddit, there's sometimes where when people share their salaries or things like that, I have to actually like mute certain subreddits because it makes me feel bad about myself.
I mean, I agree. I have to say, like the saying, what is it? Ignorance is bliss. Like sometimes when you're not aware of certain things, because I know I've had instances in my personal life that I find out certain things and then I'm just like pissed off. And I'm just like, I wish I never even knew that, because now I'm really like comparing myself to specific situations. So I feel like, again, with social media, it's great. But then the downside is just that, like, maybe there's nothing necessarily wrong with your life, but you're looking at your peers. Like I know, like I'm very fortunate. I had my daughter Sam when I was young. So right now she's in college. A lot of my friends have like toddlers, like kids that are like in school. So they don't have the same flexibility that I currently have. But if we're talking about like 15 years ago, they were the ones out there traveling where I was at home because, they were young. They didn't have any kids, where I had responsibilities. And now those roles kind of shifted a little bit. So they always joke around. They're like, oh, yeah, well, your kid's in college, so you get to do this. But like, we have to stay at home. And it doesn't come from like a bad place of jealousy or anything like that. But you do realize that we're all on a different journey in life and everyone's situation is a little bit different. But it is hard when you are comparing yourself, especially I feel like when it's to like close friends or other peers.
That's really, really tough. Like, no, with me, if it's complete strangers, I really don't care as much. Like, say if there's some travel content creator, they have like, I don't know, 400,000 like followers or something like that. If they're like traveling around the world constantly and I don't know them personally, like, I really don't care. I mean, it's like sometimes I'll look at the pictures and be like, I wish I had all that money or I was staying at the Four Seasons. Like, that's a vibe. I would totally do that. But it is harder when it's people who are close to you. And I think that's part of like, so there's this, I guess, phenomenon that like other creators have talked about where it's like when you post things that you accomplish like in the travel space or whatever it is you're promoting, strangers will tend to like it and comment and all, but like people who know you in person, you never hear anything. Like I feel like that is very true. And I don't know if
Unfortunately.
I don't know if FOMO is maybe part of the reason. It could be. I don't know. I don't know.
Combination, maybe FOMO. I don't want to use the word jealousy, but I feel like sometimes too that could be a little part of it. I know when I first started getting into content creation and traveling, going on press trips, I had a couple of friends that they would make like snarky remarks, like you're going on another trip, or like, must be nice. But I'm like, yeah, but this is work. Like you don't understand what goes on. And like you said before, like you come back from the trip, like, yeah, you had this amazing trip, but now you have to go through photos, you have to edit content, you have to write a blog post. That's hours and hours of work. Like when I come back from a press trip, that first like 1 or 2 weeks behind the scenes, like I'm legit like on my couch, just like editing things, putting together blog posts. So it's a lot of work. So they're like, yeah, you saw me laying on the beach or you saw me drinking wine like all day long in Italy, but like you're not seeing what happens after the fact. So I think sometimes people just kind of have like a false sense of someone's reality because again, with social media, it's just a highlight reel. So,
It is.
guys, don't get too hung up when you're seeing someone. And again, for me, travel is part of my life, but I wouldn't say that travel is like my whole identity, you know? Like it's something that I enjoy doing, but if I can't go somewhere or if I have to slow down, it doesn't completely ruin it. Granted, I'm just like, ugh, I don't have any trips planned and I kind of like mope around. But I feel like for other people, they feel like travel should be part of their identity, or maybe they see someone that they're being adventurous or they're going on like on a fun hike, they're going like scuba diving, cliff jumping. So I feel like sometimes too that kind of manifests into a little bit of jealousy that they wish that they were doing these like fun and wild activities.
Yeah, and like we have a question here about like, when you experience FOMO, is it actually because you want a travel experience or do you want the identity of being someone who travels? Because I feel like there are two different things. Like it's either wanting to go on a trip, it could be a very fancy trip, or having this identity of like being like a travel content creator and making it like in the space. And I would say those types of FOMO are two very different things. Like with me, if it's just like general travel FOMO, I can solve that pretty easily. Just book a ticket yourself and plan a trip, even if it's at a different time. Like, say if it's fall and I'm coaching, I obviously can't go anywhere because my priority at that time are to my players or to my team. Like, I have to be there for them. But if I see a lot of travel content, I'm like, there's no harm in booking a ticket for summer. I know what days I have off. So if it's like trip FOMO specifically, that's something that I do feel is solvable, especially if you do have like the miles or the money laying around to do it. If not, something that always helps me. I'm fortunate, Rosa's fortunate that we don't live too far from New York City. Sometimes I feel like a day into New York kind of like scratches the itch enough where it's not so much of an issue with the FOMO anymore because I was able to like get out of my shell a little bit and do something different. But then like the FOMO of having like your identity be travel and being a content creator, that's just harder because a lot in that space isn't fair or is kind of superficial and out of your control, I think. So that's like a harder thing. So I guess it's like finding joy in other things. Like, I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't really have an answer if you're having FOMO with that. Do you have any thoughts on that, Rosa?
I mean, I definitely agree. And I feel like, again, we're in our own heads a lot more. I know when I first started doing content creation, I had a full time job and I'm doing content creation. I felt like I couldn't do both because all the content creators that I was meeting, they didn't have a full-time job. Content creation was their full-time job, or they're digital nomads, so they get to travel and they get to like experience destinations for a long period of time. So for me, at first, when I started becoming more serious with my content creation journey, I honestly had major FOMO because I'm like, I felt like I was doing it wrong, or I felt like I had to pick between my career and being a content creator. When eventually I was like, no, I can totally do both. But again, it's about prioritizing, it's about just finding time to balance both things. But at first, I had like major FOMO because I'm like, I wish I can like work from home and just like go work in Bali for like a month, like some creators that I knew. So I feel like sometimes we kind of manifest these ideas in our minds and we start comparing our situations to other, and we think that we're doing our way is the wrong way of doing certain things.
Yeah, and like you said, like it's going back to that highlight reel, I mean, I think there's this idea of like a travel content creator like working from anywhere, being on a beach in Thailand or a beach in Bali. And maybe this will help with some people's FOMO a little bit. I do think people who are doing that full time, they are in the minority. I will say most of us do have full-time jobs because at the end of the day, the grass isn't always greener. And travel content creation, I learned this the hard way with Mediavine when Google changed its algorithm. It's not a steady type of employment. Like some people may come out and cancel me for saying that, but there is something to be said for having stability and then also creating content. Like you don't have to have those same worries of what if I can't secure enough partnerships to pay my bills
I
or
know. I'm like, I
or
need a steady,
yeah.
a steady paycheck, guys. I can't even talk. A steady paycheck and
Yeah.
health insurance.
Yeah, health insurance is big. And then something that's like unsexy, but I come from a family of accountants. Self employment tax, that's steep, guys.
I
That's
still haven't even
steep.
done my taxes, guys, because it's
I'm on
overwhelming.
extension. I'm on
Same,
extension.
same.
I'm on extension, but self-employment tax is steep. Like the unreliability can be problematic. Like it's funny because I was just talking to a couple of travel writers and the amount of pitches they need to send out to get like works accepted. It's a lot. It's a lot. It might seem like people are publishing all the time, are getting like press deals all the time, but the amount that goes into pitching, like you're not seeing 90% of the news. It's very similar to when I was younger. I always wanted to be a published author, but in fiction. And it's very similar to what you would see there, like the amount of like, no's. You only see like the success at the end of the tunnel. But I will say with like travel content creation, if it eases anybody's FOMO, anyone who's doing that full time, it is the minority. Most people do have full time jobs. And those, like, not to rain on anyone's parade, those remote jobs where you can work from absolutely anywhere are getting harder and harder to find. Like, I know with Rosa and I, we have to like be on site. A lot of people have to be on site certain days a week. And like most companies are not fans for security reasons of letting people take their laptop everywhere. Like, I mean, so what you're seeing online, it's not the majority of people. We're making it work in other ways, but that could be liberating too, because then it's possible to do a multitude of things and not just this like one idea. I don't know if that made any sense.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And I think you brought up a good point that kind of leads into our next question here. It's just that, like, when we go on a press trip, the obvious, the destination or the marketing company, the PR company that we're working with, they're going to put their best effort to make sure that they're curating like an amazing trip, whether it's the hotel that we're staying, where there are the attractions that we're seeing, the food that we're eating. So everything is like very curated for a positive image of the destination. But again, you don't see all like the craziness that goes on. Maybe you lost your luggage. Maybe your train left you behind and now you have to like, scramble to get onto the next train. So you're not really seeing a lot of the back end stuff that goes on or when things just go wrong on the trip, like we said earlier. So I feel like a lot of the stuff that we see on social media, it's not 100% authentic. I feel it's like a little bit more curated because again, I know for myself when I post on social, I try to be as honest as possible. But again, I'm usually just posting the positive things of my trip. I'm not going to bore you guys with all of the craziness that goes on with my lost luggage or me crying because I lost my tour because I overslept. So, yeah.
Oh my God, you poor thing. And it's like, it's really
Been through
true.
a lot, guys. Trust me, I've been through a lot. And in every trip, like something always goes wrong, like every single time.
Yeah, and the press trips, yeah, they're curated. There's a reason why with press trips in particular that we're required to post disclosures saying that this was gifted or this was funded because it doesn't necessarily give an accurate image of what the experience is like. Like on those trips, the tourism board is really going to try to make sure that you have a good time, but the reality could look quite different. So also that's another thing you could do. Look at it as like an extended advertisement for a destination, no different than flipping through a travel magazine. If that eases some of the FOMO, maybe it does. I don't know. Travel magazines are nice to go through.
Definitely agree. But I do have to say, I have been very fortunate, at least on the press trip that I've gone or the experiences that I usually post, they are positive. So it's not to say that it's like made up side of travel. Like these are still the experiences that we're having, but a lot of the bad things that could go wrong or maybe things that we didn't like, those things are typically like omitted. So like Rachel said, like when you are seeing someone, especially like on social media, just remember that they're probably just posting the positive sides of things and not necessarily anything that could have maybe gone wrong, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. But how else would you say that the online versus the real world is kind of curated, especially through social media and content creators?
Well, how else is it kind of curated? Gosh, I feel like I could write a novel about this. Maybe I will one day. I definitely feel like, you have like the usual misleading things like, the filters and all. Like I do feel like if you have like a body dysmorphia, like Instagram, like proceed with caution, right? So filters can definitely make a place look more enticing than it is. And then like there were those reels that were trending a while back, the Instagram versus reality. I don't know how popular they are anymore, but for like a brief period of time, they were really taking off. So you would have like the, perfect curated shot of like the destination, and then it would show the reality where like there were massive crowds or something else like chaotic going on. Like there are so many ways to get like these excellent shots that like don't necessarily represent the destination. So I will say, BookCon, absolutely loved it. Want to go back, had a great time. But all of my footage did not look nearly as crowded as it actually was, except for a few select shots. So you really can manipulate the data, so to speak, on social media. And what you see is not always what you get.
I definitely agree with that because I know I've been guilty of that. Like I kind of now know because I am not the type of person like unless I really really need to get a certain shot in a specific location, I really don't want anyone like in the background, then maybe I'll wake up at the crack of dawn, but usually like I'm not that
No,
content creator who's
no,
like in like cute outfits. Like props to you girl if that's you, but that is just not me. Like
I can't
I'd
do
rather
it.
sleep
I
in. Like
can't
I
do it. We
so
wake up early enough, you and I.
yeah.
Like we like to sleep in.
Like I'm all for the content, but I'm not gonna go ridiculously out of my way to capture like the perfect shot. But I have learned how to like angle myself or angle other things so that way it looks like I'm alone at whatever location. Like just recently I was in Florence and I found like this cute little alley and it had the Duomo like in the background. And when you look at the picture, there's no one there. But I legit just found like a cute little alleyway and it happened to be like at 8 o'clock in the morning because they were cleaning the street. So I just got like really lucky, but like I was not going to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go take pictures in front of a church.
No, but it is so true what you said about like the camera angling. Like I've become such an expert at that. Like I feel like especially traveling like in the summer or popular destinations like Florence, I feel like you have to get the because I'm the same way. I hate other people in my pictures. They always look like awkward. I don't
You
know.
gotta get strategic. Like usually like I'll like maybe delete certain people and like kind of like erase them out of my photos. It's funny because like when I take pictures of like Michael and Samantha, especially Samantha, she doesn't care. She was like, well, the people are there. So like she's very like real and authentic in like her photos and stuff because like she would not edit someone out of her picture. She just keeps them there. And I'm like, but it would look so much better if the person wasn't standing there.
That's so funny. So, we talked a lot about FOMO when you're stuck at home. Like, I think that's the most common type of travel FOMO, right? But like, travel FOMO can happen actually on trips too. Like, you could be on the trip and you could feel like you're missing out on something. So, an example would be like being on a trip and your friends want to do this experience and you're spending more than you feel comfortable with. Obviously, as we all know, it's never a problem for me, which is like a fatal flaw of mine, but I digress. But have you ever felt the pressure to spend more or do more on a trip just to keep up? Because otherwise you would feel like massive FOMO.
Did. So I think we talked about this in one of our earlier episodes. So I went like on a girls trip and a couple of like my friends, like, we were all kind of like on the same page as far as like what we want to spend. So it necessarily didn't happen to me, but it happened to one of the other girls on the trip. She was a little bit more mindful of her spending. So she was opting out of a lot of the places that we wanted to eat, and she would kind of make things a little bit more difficult than it needed to be. So I feel like in that situation, she probably felt like, okay, I don't want to spend as much as they're spending. So I personally haven't really had that issue. I'm usually like you, Rachel. I'm kind of like YOLO, spend the money. Hopefully it comes back. Although it has happened to me. I did a boat cruise once and I don't know how to swim. And they're like all like jumping onto the water. And I was just like sitting on the boat and I was like, I really want to go into the water. And for like the good, like, beginning of the trip, I was like so afraid because again, I don't know how to swim. I don't want to jump in. And then I was like, you know what? You only live once. I don't know the next time that I'm going to be in this beautiful beach. So I asked for like a little floaty and then I threw myself in the water.
There you go. Well, that's like a really good
It was a little
solution.
embarrassing, but one of the other girls on the boat, she also didn't know how to swim. So when she saw that I did that, she was like, "Wait, where did you get that?" So I was like, "Oh, I asked like the boat captain." And she was like, "Girl, I need one too because I can't swim." So the two of us were like on the beach on a little floaties making our way to the shore.
It's like so nice though. Like that's like a good way to address FOMO because I know I remember in the episode with the cruises how like open water kind is very like unsettling. I know you told me before that you didn't know how to swim, but that's like a wonderful solution. You're like wanting to join in, you're getting FOMO, and
Everybody
it's
was
like, wait
having
a
so
minute,
much
yeah,
fun.
wait a minute, there's a floaty, I can do this too. So sometimes it's also like thinking outside the box. I think that's like a really empowering story because like I've always loved the water. I love to swim, but it can be like really scary if you like don't know how to. So major props to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's ever been a time I see like on a trip I've never gotten FOMO because I have a spending problem. So
You're like, how many you only live once moments can you have on this trip?
yeah, and I will say, like, say if it's something where it's like people are staying out later or whatnot, and I'm getting tired. I'm at an age where I don't really care so much if I have to go back early and sleep. When I was younger, I think that sort of thing would have bothered me, but like nowadays, it really doesn't. And I'm kind of like very much trying to keep up with everything. Although I have certainly spent more than I would like. It's happened, but
Yeah. And I think this is why we talk about, when we're talking about traveling, whether it's with high maintenance friends or making sure like the trip makes it out of the group chat, it's planning goes a long way because in that way you can kind of alleviate some of these like awkward scenarios if you kind of already are on the same page before you make the trip.
Yeah. And you know what else is kind of FOMO too? And I've been thinking about this because I'm planning a couple trips this summer. Is FOMO when you're planning your itinerary? I have the hardest time cutting places out. Like I always feel like I need to extend, extend, extend. But it's so hard because I feel like, oh, if I pick this itinerary, what if I miss this great experience in this place? Like it really, I can get like paralyzed with FOMO when it comes to planning my itineraries. So I think you guys probably know how we feel about this. Like, what's better, having like a packed itinerary to see everything, or to have something a little more leisurely and having to cut things out? I think at the end of the day, cutting things out is always the way to go. Like, it's really hard for me, but a packed itinerary, I just leave exhausted and then I get FOMO for relaxing.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like now my travel style has significantly changed over the last couple of years. So now, like, I'll pick, like, if these are things that I definitely want to do. Like, I just recently went to Florence, and I don't know why. I was thinking that I can grab some last minute tickets to the Academia Gallery to see the Statue of David. And when I was looking online, ended up having to book like a super early one because I couldn't really find anything. So, that's something I definitely wanted to do. So now I just kind of make sure, like, all right, let me pick one activity per day that I definitely have to do if I know it's going to take me maybe like an hour or two. And then from there, fill my day and just kind of like wander around. And believe me, guys, that has definitely improved the way I travel significantly. Maybe at most, I might pack like two things that would have like time constraints, and then for everything else, I'm kind of just like, all right, I have a general sense of what I want to do. If I can accomplish it all, great. If I can't, then we'll cut it out and just maybe end up in a random street party in the middle of Florence, like I did.
Yeah, like I'm actually really winging it with San Juan a lot. Like this is something I don't normally do with like winging
And
it,
it's
leaving
hard.
room.
It's
It is.
hard to get accustomed to doing that, especially if you're very like type A.
It is, it is. I was on Viator today and I was like, no, I told myself I wasn't going to do this. I need to have time. So, like, the trip, I'm going to three different wine and food events. And they're, well, at night, but they last like a couple of hours. I don't think they're done until midnight. So, I have to be a bit of a night owl. But during the day, I'm free. And I do have one food tour booked for Saturday, but that's like it. And my friend, she's a content creator. I kind of asked her, hey, like, what's going on? What are the plans? And she's like deciding last minute. So, I'm kind of winging it and it is sort of freaking me out, but I also think it's going to open up like opportunities to experience like fun things, but it's hard for me not to go in and book things. Usually my type A self, I'm always booking like multiple things a day.
Now, I would say definitely making sure that you're planning for places to eat. That I do not want to leave to chance because then I'll be hangry and I don't want to deal with that.
No, no. Like that's really like the big thing is making food reservations. But as far as like your itinerary, yeah, you can cut some things out, do a bit of slow travel. It's something that like I love a lot more. And then with Instagram too, going back to social media. Now social media, I don't want to act like I just like hate it because like there are some really good things about social media. I was researching different book conventions today because I had such a good time at BookCon and there's just a lot of really good information available, but I do think it's also given us FOMO in the sense that we're so busy documenting our trips that we don't notice what's going on around us. I am totally guilty of this. I like did a post today about like people who I wouldn't be able to travel with, and one is like people who are glued to their phone. But I am also that person glued to my phone, and
Guilty.
I'm really trying to like ease back from it a little bit because I do think I get FOMO after the fact and wish that I had spent less time documenting my trips. I don't know like how you feel about that, Rosa.
Mean same thing for me. I definitely have, and again, it's really hard to execute, but it's taken me a long time to find that balance. So if I am doing, especially if it's a press trip, right? You want to make sure you're taking the content, you want to make sure that you're taking notes, but at the same time, you want to be able to experience the destinations. So I give huge props to whether it's the PR team, the marketing team, the destination. They're planning these itineraries and they're very mindful in making sure that you're actually able to enjoy the destination, that you're able to enjoy the restaurant, that you ever have to have a little bit of downtime. So huge props to those because I've gone on press trips where like literally like every second is accounted for and you're busy creating the content that you're really not able to kind of like unwind and really soak in the destination. But when I travel as a traveler, if I'm going with my family, normally, like, yes, I will snap pictures. Like, if we're out eating, I'll take a couple of pictures, but I'm not like super crazy about it where like I have to like make sure everything's a certain order, that the light is a certain way. Same thing for myself. Maybe I'll take a few snaps of myself or like the location that we're in. So I try to just really enjoy the place. But if I'm honest, I'm constantly creating content.
Me
I'll
too.
be on my phone, but it's not like the entire I'm not that person that you're gonna be like, all right, put your phone down. Like that is also not me. And I definitely wouldn't want to travel with someone who's also glued to their phone and feels the need that they have to take like 1,001 pictures. Like, let's take a few and let's keep it going.
That would be tough. I feel like when me and you have traveled together, it's always been like a really good flow. And it's never been a situation where like we're at dinner and just like glued to our phones. We're always like talking and gossiping. So, like, I'm the same way. I really have tried to like ease back a little bit. And I like what you said too, like being like a traveler versus like going on content creation trips. I traveled recently to Florida to spend time with my family. And the point of the trip was to spend time with my family. I did create some pieces of content, but it wasn't like a priority for me because that wasn't the purpose of the trip, especially because it's a destination I go to at least once a year. I don't feel that same overwhelming pressure to create all this content like I would if it was like a brand new destination.
I totally agree. And you have to find that balance. And again, it's something that I personally have worked very hard for, especially when I'm doing like a press trip, because I do feel like I have to create the perfect shot. So normally what I do, I kind of plan ahead, right? I always like to look at the destination that I'm going to, the location, and kind of already plan in my mind what photos I want to take, when. And normally I'll spend like that first day creating all the content that I need to create, whether let's say if I'm featuring a hotel, I'll do like my room tour. I'll take all the pictures of my room like right when I get there and like the hotels and everything and just kind of get that out of the way so that I know for the rest of the trip, whatever content I'm creating is a little bit more easier and kind of going with the flow. And in the back of my mind, I'm not like, oh my God, I still have to take pictures at the pool or I still have to take pictures like in their spa. So I kind of like plan all of that ahead of time and I try to get it out of the way as soon as I get there so that I'm really enjoying myself in the destination.
Yeah, that's a really good way of going about it because you don't want to get FOMO when you're actually at the destination. That's always like so sad. So, when you plan a trip, what would you say? Are you motivated by curiosity and rest or by pressure and expectations? For me, I do like my rest. I do like curiosity. I do try to think back about like when I'm feeling FOMO, when I'm seeing all this wonderful stuff on social media, especially if it's events I'm not invited to or whatnot. I try to think about why I started traveling in the first place, which had to do with curiosity, making new friends, learning new history, trying new foods. I try to get back to like why I love travel to begin with because I do think especially for people who are trying to like work in the industry, it's like hard to keep up that joy when there's like all this pressure.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, same for me. I travel to destinations out of curiosity. I want to visit the place. I want to meet the people. I want to experience the culture, eat the amazing food. But I have to say though, was it last year, 2024. So we went to Paris for the first time. And as someone who has traveled frequently and been to a number of different countries, people would always ask me, "Oh, how's Paris?" And I'm like, well, I've never been to Paris. And I felt like it was one of those places that I had to go. And it wasn't necessarily because I really, really wanted to go to Paris. I think we finally made the decision to go to Paris and London because we felt like we had to check those off our list. So I have to say that that was definitely two destinations that we went to, primarily because the logistics of the timing just made sense. And we were like, listen, we've never been to London. We've never been to Paris. I feel like it's time for us to just like go, just to go. And we love both destinations. So nothing wrong with them. But it was highly motivated by the pure fact that I just wanted to check it off my list.
I do think there's like definitely a social media effect with this too, like the pressure to go to certain places because it seems like everyone else is doing it. Like Danielle and I on our episode about Iceland, we were talking about it like back in 2015, 2016, Iceland had a huge tourism boom and every content creator felt like they just had to go to Iceland. Like I do think the influencing is real with that. Unfortunately for me, everywhere that I've been inspired to go to through social media, the destinations have been great. Like I love Iceland. I've been twice. I would go again. 1000%. It's awesome. But I do think you need to consider that too if you're feeling pressure and FOMO. Is it somewhere you really want to go? Or are you feeling pressure because everybody else says that you have to go as a traveler? It's the same thing. Like, I remember too back in the day, like counting countries was a huge thing where people were like, oh, I've been to 40 countries, I've been to 45 countries. And I always felt a little weird because I have destinations that I could go to again and again. And fortunately now a lot of people have vocalized like, yeah, like I like going to like my old favorites too. And there's no one right way to travel.
I know I'm always torn between visiting a new place and discovering a new destination and just going back to like my favorites. Like this year, I had the opportunity to go back to Italy. And it's funny because Michael and I we are planning a trip in September and he really wants to go back to Spain. And then I was like, well, I really want to go to Italy and I want to do Sicily. And then I'm like, but I went to Italy already this year. Am I really going to go to Italy twice in 1 year? And then I'm like, why not? I love it there.
Yeah, I'm excited to get to Puglia. Like this will be my goodness, let me think. One, two, three, fourth time to Italy, but like there's no shame in that. So
Exactly.
don't ever get FOMO when it comes to like running around with a checklist because if that's not your style, then that's not your style. Like don't like force yourself to be who people think you should be like as a traveler. Like again, there's like a very specific stereotype out there and the vast majority of people do not fit in that box. I promise you.
I definitely agree. All right, Rachel, are you ready for some fun rapid fire would you rather questions?
Always, 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 always.
All right, so I'm going to put you on the hot seat first. Would
Okay.
you rather take one luxury vacation a year or multiple budget trips to different places?
Goodness me.
That's a tough one. I don't know why immediately in my mind I'm thinking White Lotus because I have Sicily in my mind. So I'm thinking straight up
Yeah.
luxury.
I need to go. Can the luxury trip be a month long? Because if the luxury trip is a couple weeks, then I will take the luxury trip because I don't have the luxury of jetting off like multiple times a year with my job. So if I have like a month long luxury trip at the Four Seasons Hotel in Thailand or the Four Seasons Hotel in Sicily, then I will take the luxury trip and then I will be that awful human being who is purposely posting rage bait to make people jealous on Instagram who everyone hates.
You're like, now you're going to get FOMO.
I'm like, now you're gonna get it, kids.
I love it. I think I would probably stick to the multiple budget trips because most likely I'm the one paying for it and your girl's on a budget.
BookCon
I got a kid in
destroyed me.
college and a mortgage to pay, so your girl is on a budget.
BookCon destroyed me. So would you rather travel with a packed itinerary or completely wing it with no plans at all?
But that's tough because I need to have a general idea of what I'm doing, even if it's not 100% planned out. So I don't know if I could be that adventurous and just completely wing it. So I guess I'm going to have to go with a pack itinerary.
Yeah, like I mean, if there's like absolutely nothing planned, I need my dinner
Unless I was like on a
reservations.
beach, like if I was in a like all inclusive resort, then,
If
I'm
I'm
just
at
going to
some
be beach lounging all day
if I'm at
anyways.
some luxury hotel in the Cayman Islands, I don't care. Like I'll just like relax with all those books I bought at BookCon by the pool and like have caviar at the resort.
Okay, now you're going fancy.
I'm being such a listen to me, Cayman Islands resort caviar. Like who do I think I am?
Does not sound like a budget trip at all.
Girl, for a minute, who do I think I am, guys? Don't get FOMO with this. I cannot afford that at the moment. Okay, one day I will, but just not right now. Okay, would you rather give up taking photos on your trips or give up trying new foods while traveling? Oh, this
Just
is
take my
hard.
phone. Just take my
Yeah.
phone. Like
I need food.
girl needs to eat, and that's like my favorite part of traveling is tasting new cuisines and new dishes. So yeah, just take my phone. I'll just have to, lucky for me, I have a photographic memory.
Yeah, I agree. Just take my phone. I'd rather just be like, again, at like some wellness resort where like you also go on a tech detox but eat amazing food. I don't need my phone. And
Yeah,
then
but
I won't be
only take my phone for a few hours, not the entire
Yeah.
trip.
and then I won't be falling for like rage bait on threads, rage bait on Reddit. I'll be at peace. I'll have my books. I'll have good food. I'll be in a
It's like
resort.
such a zen energy. I love it.
Whenever you experience FOMO, just book yourself a resort and like up the ante. Be like, I'll show all of
Like-
you.
Exactly. I'm feeling stressed. Can I, let me book a private jet to the Cayman Islands.
Yeah. So, any last minute advice for anyone who's experiencing FOMO besides like making questionable financial choices out of rage and jealousy?
Yes, I definitely would say, like, we kind of covered it at the beginning of the episode. Like, it's natural for you to feel FOMO, the fear of missing out. Like, you wish you were there. But if it comes from like a genuine, like, positive place and not necessarily from a negative jealousy aspect, like, you should be your friends' like biggest cheerleaders. Like, we love seeing people post about certain destinations. Like, granted, I might be a little bit jealous that I didn't get to make it, but I'm still going to be so happy that you were able to enjoy it. So again, usually I'm pretty excited to see people's destinations when they're posting their travel journey. I will get a little bit jealous, but it's not coming from a bad place. So if you're the type of person that you're seeing other people out there traveling, doing these things, then stop wasting your time. You get to do it too. You just have to find ways to get out there to explore. Maybe you're not jetting off to the Cayman Islands. Maybe you can just go to the Jersey Shore. Like, it's still something,
We need to do a Jersey Shore episode. I think that would be so much fun, but I would probably be out of control, but it would be really funny.
We'll rent a yacht and just like fist pump all day long.
Rent a yacht at the Jersey Shore. I love that. That's the next thing. When you get FOMO, just rent a yacht at the Jersey Shore and live out your best Snooki fantasies.
Exactly.
And that FOMO
Maybe
will go away.
Maybe someone will sponsor us and we can make this dream come true.
My God, that's a true dream. But yeah, I agree. Like at the end of the day, of course, you're happy for your friends. And even me, even though I get jealous, I always remind myself that I would rather like be jealous than my friends be miserable all the time. Cause then the alternative is your friends never go anywhere, you never go anywhere, and everybody's sad. So that is
Don't be
still the
bitter.
worst. That is still like the worst like outcome. So and again, if you're like feeling a little jealous, book a trip of your own or plan something fun. Like, I mean, I won't lie. Like sometimes all I need to make me happy is a candle on, some like castle on my TV with the fireplace crackling, and a book. And it
I
makes me
know.
feel better. Like
And I
sometimes have a
That's
reset.
that's all you need. And I do have to add one more thing. Like a lot of people sometimes usually think my social media account is a travel content account. So I'm always posting travel content. But guys, if I'm being honest with you, 80% of the time I'm probably home in my pajamas on my couch with my dog Chloe. So like just because I'm constantly posting that I'm traveling somewhere, it doesn't mean that I am traveling somewhere. So just kind of keep that in mind when you see other people posting things, especially if they are content creators. Because even with myself, like whenever I'm texting or speaking with a friend, I always ask, like, are you even in the US? Because sometimes, like, we're posting things all the time that are like, I post things about Mexico. I haven't been to Mexico in like 3 years. So
Yeah. That's really true. I post things about Spain. Same thing. I haven't been to Spain in 3 years. And most of the time, I am sitting in traffic in New Jersey and listening to really bad music on Spotify and spending too much on groceries at Wegmans. Like, that's like my day to day, guys. And doing too much laundry and dishes. I feel like the laundry has just been trying to like bury me lately. But that's another topic for another day. I won't
yeah, we
bore
won't
you
talk
with
about
that.
laundry.
No, no, not the podcast for that. So before you start planning your next trip, friends, ask yourself this. What if the goal of travel isn't to keep up necessarily, but instead to actually connect with other people? What if the best trips aren't the most impressive, but the ones that mean most to you? And again, it looks different for everyone. So just like some food for thought, like what might be your ideal trip may not be someone else's, and what you're seeing on social media, if you were there, maybe it wouldn't be for you anyway. So appreciate where you are right now. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. It's really hard for me, but it does go a long way. And honestly, if you have to delete social media from your phone for a week or have a reset, there's nothing wrong with that. I actually think it can be kind of healthy to take a step back because doom scrolling is a very real thing and it can cause major problems. And remember, comparison is the thief of joy. Don't let it take your joy. Sometimes ignorance really is best. So thank you for listening, besties. We appreciate it. And we'll catch you in the next episode, or I'll catch you down in the Cayman Islands when I have all that money for luxury travel. So see you there.
I'll fuel up the jet and there we go.
There we go. There we go. Bon voyage,
Bon voyage, besties.
besties.
See you in the
Au
Cayman
revoir.
Islands.
Bye bye. Sponsor us, Cayman Islands. I'm really cool.